It was 15 years ago that Sam Witwicky teamed up with the Autobots to battle the evil Decepticons in Michael Bay's Transformers. Since then, not only has a lot of time passed, but also much has changed in the movie series. In this video, we do not want to take a look into the future as usual, but rather focus on the past. What made the first movie of the Transformers series so special, and why were so many things different after the third part? These are the questions we will be looking into today, and we hope that we can evoke a bit of nostalgia as well. And perhaps now it is even the time to rewatch the series. First, let's examine how the blockbuster series came to be in the first place. At the time, the decision to make a Transformers movie was not in the hands of a movie studio, but a toy manufacturer. So in the early 2000s, the Hasbro company thought about producing a movie for the G.I. Joe toy series. However, with the outbreak of the Iraq War, they decided not to and went for Hasbro's second most popular brand, the Transformers. The theme met with a widespread approval, and so in 2003, DreamWorks and Paramount began with the film's production. Due to the popularity of the brand, especially among children, Steven Spielberg was quickly hired as executive producer, while Michael Bay took over the directing. Actually, he had no interest in making a movie about children's toys. However, after Hasbro personally approached him and assured that he could also make the film accessible to an adult audience, he finally agreed. And so the team was complete. In March 2006, the first actor, namely Shia LaBeouf, was confirmed, and filming began that same year. Alongside Sony's Spider-Man series with Tobey Maguire, Transformers marked the big start of comic book adaptations in the 2000s, despite the fact that they didn't originate from Marvel, which as we know didn't really get going until 2008 with the release of Iron Man. Since Hasbro naturally wanted to turn a profit from their Transformers project, the producers had to work out the name and design of the Transformers well before filming began in order for the toy giant to go into pre-production. As a result, the movie ended up featuring Autobots and Decepticons, which never made an appearance in the Transformers comics. The experienced Star Wars crew at Industrial Light and Magic was tasked with bringing the robots to life on the computer. The Transformers were so detailed and complex that it took ILM's animators 38 hours to fit them into a single frame of the film. After Black Hawk Down and Hulk, Transformers was also just the third film in the 21st century to use footage from the US Air Force. The film was shot at the Holloman Air Force Base and the White Sands Missile Range. It was well worth it as the movie grossed more than $700 million, thus paving the way for the big franchise. In addition to stars like Shia LaBeouf, Megan Fox, and Josh Duhamel, Peter Cullen was cast as the voice actor for Optimus Prime. He had already dubbed the leader of the Autobots in the animated series from the 80s and 90s. But what plot did the creators come up with for the big screen appearance? First, let's have a brief overview of the history of the planet Cybertron, which was home to a race of intelligent machine creatures with the ability to transform their bodies into other forms. Once, Optimus Prime and Megatron ruled the planet together. However, Megatron wanted to rule over the entire universe. As a result, there was a battle between the Autobots and the Decepticons. Megatron was after the Allspark, a cube-shaped artifact that had once given life to the machines on Cybertron. The Autobots knew they had no chance of winning, so they launched the Allspark into space. It landed on Earth, as did some Autobots and Decepticons. Years later, young Sam Witwicky finally gets his own car from his parents. With this car, he wants to impress Michaela, a teenage girl from his school. Even though he's not completely satisfied with it at first, he is soon astonished. His car is in fact an alien named Bumblebee who has long been hiding on Earth. It turns out that the location of the Allspark is burned into the glasses of Sam's great-grandfather. 100 years ago, he had found both the Allspark and Megatron in the ice. Bumblebee notifies his Autobot allies, but not only they learn of Sam's find, so do the Decepticons. Thus, a battle against the clock begins with Sam and his beloved Michaela at the center of it all. It becomes especially dangerous for everyone when Megatron awakens from his hibernation and the Decepticons present themselves to humans for the first time in millennia. At the time, the film had everything a successful action movie needed. Cars, robots, explosions, and of course, a bit of bare skin. Presented here by Megan Fox. But what also stands out is the heroization of the US military. This was not well received by the press, given that the crimes of the Iraq War were slowly but surely being dealt with during this time. Worth mentioning is the final battle in the fictional place Mission City, in which the military fights together with the Autobots. Such scenes are consistently backed with heroic music and lots of bursts. In spite of heavy criticism from the press, in the second part, also in the final battle in the desert, the creators went the extra mile. Within a few minutes, the military manages to attack the Decepticons on international soil with air and naval units and land forces, again of course with dramatic music and lots of explosions. A scenery which at that time caused us to get goosebumps and which conveyed the feeling that America is strong and ready at all times. It's easy to forget that reality looks a little different. Transformers therefore naturally offered a flawless and entertaining distraction from everyday life, and thus perhaps exactly what the audience wanted. But the glorification of the military is not the only thing that will always be associated with the Transformers franchise. Due to the big popularity of the first film, sequels were of course inevitable. The second part was still very reminiscent of the previous one, but then came the first major change in the movie series. Megan Fox announced that she was no longer willing to take on the role of Mikaela, primarily because she was not happy with the way her character was being used stylistically. In keeping with the motto "Sex Sells," she was in fact mostly busy showing herself off scantily dressed in provocative poses in the first two parts, which was the reason for her to drop out after 2 films. However, she was not the last person to leave the movie series. After the third installment, almost the entire cast left. Shia LaBeouf immediately announced that he would devote himself to his role in the Indiana Jones franchise in the future. Well, we know how that turned out. Josh Duhamel and the rest of the cast likewise looked for new opportunities. Anyway, they did manage to find a popular new face for Transformers in Mark Wahlberg, although the fourth film was not well received by all fans. So, Josh Duhamel, John Turturro, and Tyrese Gibson were brought right back into the team. Even Julie White returned to play the role of Judy Witwicky. What other role Sam's mother will play, however, is not entirely clear yet. A spin-off film for Bumblebee followed in 2018. The 6th part of the main series was already confirmed in 2019, but due to the pandemic, the release was postponed to 2023. We have also made an original about Transformers Rise of the Beasts, so if you want to know more about that now, just follow the link at the end of this video. A further Transformers movie has also already been announced for the year 2025, however there is no title for it yet. Well, that was everything regarding the Transformers movies. For many fans at the time, the first film was something that movie theaters had never witnessed before. Even before Marvel's and DC superheroes drew large crowds to the movies, Optimus Prime and his team were already protecting the world, thereby paving the way for all other comic book adaptations. Loud, colorful, and big, that was their motto. And despite all the criticism the series has received over the years, this promise was always kept. How do you view it? What are your thoughts on how the movie series has evolved? Are you looking forward to the sequel of the blockbuster series? And above all, what do the Transformers mean to you today? Are they just a fun childhood memory, or are they still the kind of entertainment a visit to the cinema needs? Let us know what your opinion is in the comments, and be sure to check out our videos solely on Transformers Rise of the Beasts. See you next time!